the Jays for Down podcast. I'm your host, Jane Gay, and today we're going to be talking about the NFL. Just a little quick recap here of the weekend, some of my thoughts and takes, and who I believe the teams I believe are in some trouble as we head throughout the season here. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're here on YouTube's video and Spotify and Apple Podcasts for audio. So make sure you check us out there on all those platforms. Today, I just want to talk about, recap some of the games, some of the more bigger magnitude games here for the NFL. Most importantly, for the most part, just the Bills and the Jags game in London, I think was a big game. To me, that was something that I was really looking forward to seeing from both of these teams. The Jags right now I think are going to win the AFC South. I don't see any team that's going to beat them in their division because the Colts are going to be without Anthony Richardson for a while because he hurt his shoulder. I mean, they're just running him to death. Why? I have no idea. I know he's talented, but like you guys like that, you got to keep them healthy. The Titans look like a train wreck right now. And the Texans, they lost against Atlanta on Sunday. They have some players banged up. I mean, they're still a young, rebuilding team in a rebuilding phase. So it's going to take them a while to get things going. I mean, I didn't have them really doing too much this year. My hot take, a very, very hot take for them was to make the playoffs. And I still think no, I don't know. I don't think it's a possibility because, like I said, the Jags are too good right now. Offensively, everything's coming together for them. You got Calvin Ridley being back from his suspension. He looks good. Looks in great shape. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne out the backfield. Like that Jags offense looks legit. They're only going to keep getting better. Defensively, they're making improvements. They're getting their turnovers. They're flying to the ball. They're getting better every week, and that's what you like to see from those units. Like, are these guys getting better? Are they improving? Are they just, that's what you want to see. Can we continue to get better each and every week? And that's what I'm seeing out of the Jags. The Bills, on the other hand, you hate to see all these injuries, man. They lost Matt Milano. I know some other players, they lost to injuries as well. And you don't have Kaiir Elam either. He's not hurt, but he's not playing the best football right now. And Tre'Davious White is out again for the year. So to me, that's just like it's a big blow. On offensively, they've got to be able to run the football. The Bills this is something they struggle with for a good amount of time since LaShawn McCoy retired, or he left the Bills rather. They have not been able to run the ball at all. Even with James Cook, Devin Singletary wasn't that big of a running back. He was more of a receiving back when he was there. He's with the Texans now, but they just cannot run football. And until they are able to do that, they're not going to be able to win games in January and February. If they get that far, and they're not going to be able to do that, especially against the really good teams. The AFC, you have like the Chiefs and I'd say the Chargers, but I think they're one of those teams you could probably give the label frauds to, because when they get to playoffs, they just cannot finish either. So, but definitely the Chiefs. The Bengals. We could say the Bengals for sure. Those two teams definitely they cannot beat those teams if they can't run the football. It's that simple. You have to be able to run the ball. Josh Allen's got a cannon, but if you're not able to hand it off when the team prevents you from throwing it around like that, and they're able to keep you contained as a mobile quarterback, and you cannot turn around and hand the ball off on a consistent level, that's your team is doomed. You're done. You're toast, and that's an issue. So the Bills are gonna have to fix that moving forward. They're gonna have to get better at that. And right now, I say Jacksonville's a clear-cut favorite to win the AFC South and get a playoff spot. Because they're sitting at 3-2 right now. They keep this up. At least win 17 weeks. At least if they win like 6 or 7 out of their last 12 games, they're in a good spot. So that's just something to think about there with the Jags. But moving on to a different note, I'm going to talk about my Falcons here for a second. As Desmond Ritter finally looked like a competent quarterback. The vibe in Atlanta is really high right now. Everybody's feeling good after a good win on Sunday. I mean, the team showed grit and resilience after dealing with some setbacks, dealing with some turnovers, some fumbles, particularly. Defense getting back down a little bit. Near late in the end, and they came back and Desmond Ritter led a great, game-winning drive with minutes and change left on the clock. They got a field goal for Younghoe Koo. But what I want to point out on that drive was how he was able to throw the ball to the sideline effectively, save that time, give the ball, move the ball down the field effectively, didn't turn the football over, staying ahead of the chains while still conserving that time, and then letting it tick down to the last second to have Younghoe Koo come out and kick that game-winning field goal. That is how those last-minute drives, late game drives should be ran. Exactly how they should be ran. Now, of course, you don't want to be in that situation as a team, but if you have to, you should be able to know that your offense can go out there and execute that every weekend. That's something that these teams work on. They work on these late game scenarios, these 2-minute drills, less than 2-minute drills, close to halftime or it's close to the end of the game, overtime drills, right? They work on these specific periods in practice because they know that they might have to deal with them at points during the season, because especially for the Falcons, because they're not going to be blowing anybody out by any means. But so those things are important. And seeing your quarterback take charge and take command like that has got to be a huge boost to the team, to the fan base, to the coaching staff. Desmond Ritter he's really I feel like he's starting to get his confidence up, and he's starting to realize that he's the guy that they brought here to start. Regardless of what everybody else thinks, and he's focused on getting better himself and trying to be the best player that he can be each and every week. And that's what's important at the end of the day, as a quarterback, because you're going to get all this hate, you're going to get all this love or hate, whatever the case may be, depending on how you're doing, depending on how the team's doing. You've got to be able to block that out and just go to practice, go to work each and every day, focus on what you have to focus on and improve and get better and just keep getting better. That's really the main thing. Keep getting better. You should be getting one step faster every day. And that should be the goal for Desmond Ritter and the Falcons. And if they can continue to do that these next couple of weeks, you got games against the Commanders, the Bucks. I mean, theoretically, they could win their next couple of games. It's sitting in a good spot in the NFC South. Now the Saints are right behind on their tail because they're winning and they're looking good. The Bucks as well. The Panthers just, again, they're a train wreck. The Detroit Lions mauled them on Sunday, 42-24. I think we need to have a conversation about the Lions being one of the best teams in the NFC right now. I think we need to have that conversation if we weren't having it already. Because right now, so far, they're looking like one of the better teams in the NFC. Up there with like San Fran and the Eagles, who are both 5-0 respectively. But the Lions, they're 4-1, guys. They're 4-1. They're playing good football. They have a top rushing defense. Nobody can run the football on them. Jared Goff he's holding the ship down. Sam Laporta is looking like a great tight end for them. I like what they're doing. David Montgomery running the football is doing a great job up there in Detroit. What the Lions are doing right now is granted, their schedule hasn't been too tough, but still it's NFL and it's any given Sunday. And from what I'm seeing from them, they're looking like a really good team, a team that you probably wouldn't want to play first round of the playoffs if you're one of those higher teams, if you're Philly, if you're San Fran, if you're one of those teams. The Cowboys definitely would not want to play them. I think they would destroy the Cowboys too because Dak Prescott is not a good quarterback. We'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, I love what the Lions are doing. I hope they keep it up. Dan Campbell, I love that guy as a head coach, man. Those guys root for him. They play for him. And he's got the locker room, and that's always good when you have a coach who has a locker room and has everybody on the same page with one goal in mind. That's to win a championship. Getting better every day. If everybody's on that same mindset, then you have a good football team. When everybody's buying what the coach is preaching, they know they can trust him. They know that he's not lying to them, or they know that he's not yeah. When you have a coach like that, you're gonna have a good team. But moving on to the Cowboys getting destroyed by the 49ers last night, Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. That was just awful. That was a beatdown. They got killed by the 49ers, and Dak Prescott is not a quarterback, guys. I'm telling you, he's not worth that contract. He's not a starting quarterback in this league. And I love Dak. He's a great person, great human being, very humble guy. But as a football player, as a quarterback, he just should not be a starting quarterback. He should be a backup at best, at most. Because he has a problem with turning the football over, and he said in the offseason he's gonna work on that. He's not gonna throw 10 interceptions And look, here he is. He already got 4 in the first 5 games. So it's like, at what point, if you're Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff and Jerry Jones and ownership, like, do you sit down and you look, okay, we have not won with this guy in 7 years. 7 years. We haven't won with him in 7 years since he took over as a starting quarterback in 2016. We have not won a thing. We have not won an NFC Championship game. We have not made an NFC Championship game. We've only gotten to the first, maybe the second round at the latest, at most, and we have not been able to produce anything for that because he's just not that guy. He's not the guy that's gonna. He doesn't have that mold. To me, Dak does not have that mold. He's gonna take you down the field. He's gonna play sound football. He's not gonna turn the football over. That's not the type of guy he is. So far from what I've seen this year, he just isn't that guy. There's no way the Cowboys should have lost to the Cardinals. There's just no way. But they did. I'm not blaming that solely on Dak Prescott because that's not all his fault. That game wasn't. But for the most part, the lack of success that Dallas has had in the postseason has got to do with him. A good part of it because their defense is really good. Except when they play the 49ers, but their defense is really good. Micah Parsons is an all-world talent. DeMarcus Lawrence is still he great, solid player. Leighton Vander Esch, the secondary. Trevon Diggs got hurt, but he was always playing well. All-pro corner. DeRon Bland has come on lately.